Welcome to Miss Mason Explains, the need for psychological science. Now, everyone has heard the term think critically, or as most of us teachers like to say, critical thinking. All right, so in psychology, yep, you have to use your critical thinking skills. And we know this as the careful style of forming and evaluating knowledge and information instead of just simply using our intuition, our common sense. Okay, so in psychology, you're going to use your critical thinking skills in addition to the scientific method, and we use these to help us develop a more effective and accurate way to figure out psychological phenomenon. Why people do what they do, they think what they think, and they feel the way that they do. All right, so why do we have to work on our critical thinking skills? Why can't we just say the facts about psychology? Well, that is because our brain is not the best tool for seeing reality clearly. All right, our brain is actually designed for surviving and reproducing our own thoughts. Taking in is experiencing our own experiences and formulating our own ideas of what is reality. Now, to improve our thinking, to improve our brain and our ability to see reality clearly, we have to learn to catch ourselves in some of these critical thinking errors. There are 3 critical thinking errors that we are going to talk about today. All right, the first critical thinking error is hindsight bias. I knew it all along. The overconfidence error. I am sure I am correct. In reality, no, you're not. And the coincidence error, which is perceiving order in random events. All right. The dice must be fixed because you rolled 3 6s in a row. You must be cheating. All right. So now let's talk about each of these critical thinking errors in detail. So hindsight bias. Hindsight bias is kind of like a crystal ball that we use to predict not the future, but the past. So a lot of you are going to be applying to colleges in the next couple of months. All right. I knew this would happen. I would get into the University of Maryland. In reality, did you know you were going to get into the University of Maryland? No, you didn't. Okay. All right. Another classic example is after watching a competition such as the Olympics, if you did that over the summer, instead of making a prediction ahead of time, Michael Phelps is definitely going to win the gold medal for the whatever race you're watching. Instead, you're going to make a post-diction. Oh man, I figured that Michael Phelps would win, the gold medal because, he won the gold medal the last Olympics. Okay. All right. All right. So hindsight bias. Whoops, sorry. All right, so let's see if some of you have hindsight biased or if these are actual facts. So take a look at these different sayings. They all seem to make sense, right? You've read them, they make sense. The pen is mightier than the sword. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. But wait, why do these other phrases also make sense? You're never too old to learn. Opposites attract. Actions speak louder than words. Believe it or not, okay, it's because they all seem true in hindsight, okay, after the fact. But why do we call hindsight biased? Why do we call it a biased? Well, we call it a biased because we actually take in all this new information, but we use our old information to analyze it. Okay? So we take old information and we give it more weight than the new information just because. All right? So, for instance, in this target, all right, hindsight bias is like watching the arrow land and then drawing a target around it saying, that's what we were aiming at. Yeah, okay. Another example is when you stay in a really bad relationship, let's say for a year, and you stayed in it that long because it lasted that long and because it's meant to be. We've lasted a year, it's meant to be. Yeah, okay. That's a biased. All right. So now we have two types of overconfidence error. The first overconfidence error is performance. And we do this a lot. All right. So here is a way that you can test for it. How long do you think it takes you to play one round of your video game before you get to work on your reading questions? Yeah. That one round actually turns into 3 hours because you love it that much and you're just, yeah, okay. All right. Now, how many of you in the textbook unscramble those words really fast in the module reading? Okay. How fast do you think you can unscramble these two words? All right. So, pause it, unscramble the words, and hit play. First word, enough. Second word, grease. Did you unscramble them faster or slower than you thought? All right. The second type of overconfidence error is accuracy. We fall for this overconfidence error very often. All right. Especially when we are taking a test. Okay. We are much more certain that we are accurate than we actually are. Okay. One of this error is a big problem for eyewitness testimonies. So here's my example. You're a witness of a murder and you see the killer run past you. You could swear he had a gun in his hand. He must have had a gun in his hand. You know that he had a gun in his hand. All right? But in reality, he didn't have a gun in his hand. He had a cell phone. Okay? That's one of the biggest problems with eyewitness testimonies. You say, no, he had a Smith & Wesson in his hand. Yeah, it was black. Problem with your overconfidence error. Okay? All right. The next type of error is the coincidence error, and this is where we perceive order in random events. A great example of this is when you're driving and all of a sudden you see a lot of red lights. Okay, you've hit 4 red lights in a row and you're like, man, somebody's out to get me. Coincidence error. Another example is, making a prediction in a random series of events, such as, how many of you have ever watched gambling or been to the Maryland Live Casino or the Horseshoe in Baltimore, Atlantic City, Las Vegas, and you're at the roulette wheel, and the ball has landed on an even number 4 times in a row. So you're like, man, next time it lands, it's definitely going to be on an odd number. It's been landing on even numbers all day. Yeah. All right. No, you can't make a prediction because you don't know. All right. So why does this error happen? Well, it's because we actually, as humans, have the wrong idea about what randomness looks like. Another type of this error is if we react to coincidence as if it has meaning. So again, sorry, another gambling example. Poker player at the poker table got 2 pocket aces twice in a row. Okay, that's 2 aces in a row. Is the game rigged? Is he cheating? Does he have aces up in his sleeve? Well, no, you don't know that for sure. Okay, but coincidence error is going to have us react to this coincidence as if, yes, the player is cheating. So what causes us to have these overconfidence errors, these high sign bias, these coincidence errors? Well, let's look at it from an evolutionary perspective. All right, hindsight biased. Well, maybe this is this came as our useful habit of analyzing an events and trying to figure out why something occurred, all right, to make us feel better. All right, we have the overconfidence error. maybe this helps us lead other people. You know, it builds confidence in followers more than accuracy does. So maybe this is why we have leaders. Hello, politics. And the coincidence error. Perceiving order really helps us make predictions. The problem is we need to test these predictions and not overdo it in giving these predictions more weight than they're actually worth. All right, so this is part one. We're going to move into part two in the next video. All right, so this is part one of the video, need for psychological science.